Hello again everyone, Ken from Whittling Woods back again with another whittling wood carving tutorial. Today we're going to do a little comfort bird. A couple of my viewers have asked me to do one of these, and I don't think I've done one before on the channel. I may have a while back, but we're going to use this piece of butternut. You can see it's 4.5 inches long and about 2 inches wide over here, and 1 7/8, so almost 2 by 2 piece of. I just happen to have this piece. It was left over from a bowl turning, actually, that for some reason I didn't use. You can see some of the markings I made on here. But what I'm going to do, I drew this little pattern out, and I'm going to transfer it to this piece of wood. I did a Whittle. I'll have a link somewhere over here that I did the same principle. So I just darken the back with some graphite. I put the pattern on here and I just retrace it onto the piece of wood, and then I'll cut it out. This is kind of thick, so I'm not sure if I'm going to use like a scroll saw, band saw, or just a hand coping saw. One or the other. I'll just cut it out. But I mean, if you have some type of saw, that's the best way to go. You could whittle the whole thing by hand, but you know, we'll save a little whittling effort here and make it easier. And let's create a little blank to whittle this from. So I'm going to go off camera here and transfer the pattern over here. I'll show you what that looks like when I get done. Be right back. Okay, I just traced over the pattern here and transferred it to the block of wood. And I kind of made it like, again, this was a block of wood that I have that happened to be 2 inches by like almost 2 by 2, and I figured that's a nice size. These comfort whittles are supposed to be, you know, easily fit into someone's hand, and I figured, you know, that's a decent size to fit into someone's hand. It's you know, not too big, not too small. So and what we'll do is we'll cut this pattern out here, and then we'll just kind of round it off a bit and taper it to make it look a little bit more like a bird. And that should really be about it. So I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to probably use you know, some type of saw to cut this out. And when I get that done, I'll be right back. Through the magic of editing, we got a little bird here. I just used a little. I was going to do it with a coping saw, but in an effort to save a little bit of time, I have an older Wen scroll saw. It's a really small one. I picked it up very inexpensively a number of years ago, and it actually makes quick work of this. It does a nice job. So there you go. We just cut that out over there, and it was pretty simple to do. So now what we'll do is start the whittling. But I'm going to show you what I'm going to use here. I have 2 knives that I'll be using, and lucky me, I have 2 Blackbart specials right here. This was a brand new one just sent to me by my good buddy Mark, custom made, and it's all ready to go. And this is the other one he sent me last year, and we're going to use both of these knives. You can see this one he just sent me is a nice, real thin one, and so it'll be good for getting some little detail work. And this is going to probably be our bulk removal knife. But my good buddy Mark, Blackbart, thumbs up once again, man. I really appreciate that. And so we'll do a little comfort bird with Blackbart special knives here. So I'm going to get everything set up, and I will be right back. What I think I'm going to start with here is I'm going to narrow the front. I want the front to kind of taper in here to the little beak. So I'm just going to kind of start to taper the front down a bit, and that's really all this part's going to be here. I'm just going to kind of come through here and taper that down on both sides just a bit. This butternut is a little crunchier than I thought. If you've carved butternut before, you know it's beautiful wood, but it's also kind of fragile in some respects. It can crumble quite a bit, but it does. It's a really nice wood, and it's nice to hold. And what I'll do is I'll probably finish it with a little bit of beeswax. That's all. I'm not going to put any kind of toxic. I typically don't put any chemical type finishes. I usually use, you know, a combination of, most of the time I use Howard feed wax, and that does a trick for me really well. But in this case, since you will be holding it, well, it's meant to be held. I don't know if anybody's going to be holding it, but it is meant to be held. And so we'll use something that's a little bit more user-friendly, so to speak. Not that Howard's is toxic by any stretch of the imagination, but I just think a nice little beeswax finish will be good. And since this was from an old bowl turning, I used to use beeswax all the time for the turnings. So we'll just kind of keep it in that way. All I'm doing here is tapering the bottom as well. I'm just kind of rounding everything out. I'm just going to go around the edges here and actually start rounding things out a bit. It'll make it a little easier to hold too. It's a little, these edges are a bit sharp. Yeah, I kind of want everything to sort of, you don't want any, in these comfort birds, or any kind of, whether you're doing a comfort bird or some other comfort whittle, you want everything to be rounded and comfortable to hold. That's the whole point of comfort, right? So no sharp, like right now these edges are really sharp from the scroll saw, so we round all those out and make it just a little more comfortable to hang on to. I'm just using paring cuts and kind of moving along the edges here, just to paring and push cuts really. But that's all. I'm going to make this a real simple little whittle. I don't want to make it too complex. Too many angles on it, because again, it's a comfort bird, so it's supposed to be nice and easy to hold. So the key here is just to round out those edges, like I said. I'm not taking very deep cuts on this. I don't like taking deep cuts on someone had complained, well, I shouldn't say complained, they had mentioned in one of my videos that they didn't care for the fact that I seem to be scraping the wood. And yeah, sometimes I might have a tendency to do that, but a lot of times, especially with wood like this, I don't like to take very deep cuts because the grain kind of can break apart very easy. So what I like to do is just move along carefully and just, it's not like basswood where you can take those type of deep cuts. I find that this butternut, eastern white pine is another one where if you take really deep cuts, you can tear out the wood very quickly and you might ruin your piece very fast. So I tend to kind of proceed cautiously. You can kind of see how it's chipping out a lot over here, and that's the kind of thing you deal with when you're whittling butternut. So it's not a hard wood to carve. It's just that it can break apart pretty easily. So anyway, I'm going to kind of speed through this section because I think it gets a little repetitive to see me just taper things down. So I'll do a little bit of a fast forward speed here, and all I'm doing, like I said, is just beginning to go around here and round everything out. So let's kind of zoom through this a bit and I'll be right back. Okay, just wanted to kind of slow it down here for a bit. You see I'm kind of working my way around. That's all you got to do with these. Really just, what you want to do is taper in on the top. This is the head. So we're tapering in over here, we're tapering in over here, and on the bottom. So you're looking, you know, you could draw a center line in there, but that's kind of what you're doing. You're working your way around, tapering in. You can see I'm bringing this in over here. Then I switch over and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do the same on that side. So I want to kind of taper those in round. Again, it's really just to round these out a little bit, and you're going to do the same thing. That's all I've been doing here is working my way around and just bringing everything, kind of rounding the main part here. The body part here. You kind of want to make it as comfortable as possible. So that's kind of what you're after. But I'm going to just hone up my knife and I'll be right back. What I like to do is start now looking at tapering everything in. You can see how the top of it is. I want to make the beak area, I don't want to make it pointy. I'm just going to kind of slowly round it over. I usually come from the top on both sides here, and then I kind of come from the bottom as well. You can kind of see where the rough area from the saw cuts were. So we haven't whittled that wood yet. And I just kind of come in here and I start just carefully tapering the beak. Again, we don't want to make it too thin and we don't want to make it too sharp. So I don't like any sharp edges, so I round it over. That's just the thing you want to keep in mind with these, because they're going to be held. So make it nice and comfortable to hold. Don't make it too sharp. But give the impression of having the little bird having a beak. Just makes them look a little bit cuter. The other thing I like to do is kind of leave a little bit of a cheeky area underneath both of these. You don't have to do that. Well, and the way I do it is just kind of come up in here and scoop out a little bit of wood. You can kind of see on that side, it's a little bit of a cheek area over there. I just think it makes it a little bit more interesting to hold. And some birds kind of have that little bit. You kind of do it on both sides. You just kind of come up, scoop out a little wood underneath, and just create, eventually you'll leave a little wood underneath the, you can kind of see it from that angle over there. You'll leave a little bit of wood there to, I don't know, it feels, it's interesting to hold too if you found a little bit of slight irregularity. Now the other issue with these, well, it's not really an issue, but is how do you finish these? Do you want them super smooth? I think some people may like that, and in which case you're only going to get it whittling smooth if you do it this way. You'd have to resort to either taking finer and finer cuts or sanding it. I typically don't sand my whittles. I think that having a little bit of the irregularity in the wood actually is a good thing. Having it super smooth is nice, and maybe it is slightly more comforting to hold that, I guess, but I kind of like a little bit of the irregularity in the wood. I think it's a little bit more tactile, and it just is interesting to hold that way. So I just get it as smooth as I can with the knife, and you're going to have to take progressively smaller cuts to do that, or shallower cuts, I should say. And that's all, like this kind of stuff over here, like I'm doing, just really. And I might switch to the other knife that Mark made me, which is even thinner, and we can take really shallow, almost like scraping cuts, where you're finishing the wood with just the sharp edge of the knife. And you can kind of go around and do that when you're done as well. The key is, you could do the whole thing by power sanding it as well, I guess, but again, it's dusty, it's dirty, and I'd like to avoid sanding if I can at all costs, because it's just dusty and dirty. And if you if you're not doing it outside and you're not masked up, then you're going to get dust in your lungs, and you don't want that. So, and this is whittling woods, so we whittle our wood to a finer finish. And it's not going to be perfectly smooth. There's going to be some facets in there, but that's okay. I like I said, I kind of like that. I think that just adds a little bit of character to it, and it makes it fun to hold as well. So you can get it to a certain level, and if you feel more comfortable sanding it down to make it smooth, then by all means. I'm not saying you can't do that. Obviously, you do whatever you think is right when you're doing these little whittles. I just like to get rid of as many flat spots as I can, and to keep the a continuous curve all over the place. So any flat spots, like right in here, it's still flat. Right in there, it's still flat. So what I do is I progressively bring that down, just taking smaller and smaller cuts. And that's what you're going to have to do with these things. You're not going to be taking large cuts all at once. You're going to be taking shallower and shallower cuts to get it to the finish that you want. And eventually you'll let me know if you're watching this video and you've hung in there this long. Let me know what kind of finish you would like. Do you think it should be finished smooth, like a high polish finish on it? Is that what you prefer? I'd be interested to know, because I may do one that way one time and see which one I like better. But let me know what you think. What's your feeling about it if you've done these kind of whittles before? I'm going to grab the other knife, and I'll be right back. Okay, I have the knife that's pretty thin here, and again, I'm just going to make like refining cuts, I guess I would call these, as they come through here. My finishing cuts. That's why I thought this would be a nice whittle. Not only did someone recommend it, but with this knife that Mark just made and sent me, it kind of allows me to get in here and make some nice finishing cuts like this on this type of. Normally, I'm keen on leaving larger facets, and there'll definitely be still some in here as well. But I'm going to try to take my time and just take these little finishing cuts like so all around it as I go through here. So you can see what I'm doing here. That's really all these type of whittles are. It's just a matter of taking your time and working to continually round things out a bit. And like I said, you got those flat spots on the sides over here where the what's the plank side of the wood. You're gonna come in here and just round them out. That's really, literally, that's it. Like I said, you can see from that angle, it kind of looks almost round. We've rounded the wood out, and that's all you're going for. You just want something that's comfortable and round the hole. I mean, that's what these comfort birds are all about. Okay, the last thing I kind of like to do is just go around and sort of round out the kind of a bit of a dome around the head. So I just kind of work my way around the top just to create a bit of a crest on the head over there, as you can see. Just a little bit, not too much. And then the way I do that is, like I said, I'm looking at the center here, and I'm just carefully rounding out all around there. That's all you really want to do. You kind of see. So he's got you can kind of see little puffy cheeks on either side. He's got his beak, a little round head, and he's shaped pretty nicely. So he'll actually stand a little. He'll on a flat surface. He'll kind of stand like that. So you don't want it to roll over. So the back of the tail should kind of hold it stable when it's flat on a surface over there. You can kind of see it from the bottom over here. I like to have it round and kind of chubby over here because it fits nicely in your hand that way. And having curves like that make it nice. I like having the tail curve up like that because when it's like I said, when it's flat on the surface, it looks like it's looking up at you. So there you go. I'm just going to clean it up and I'll show you what it looks like before I wax it. Okay, I think I'm going to call this whittle done. There you go. I just kind of wet it up here just to bring out a little bit of the grain so you could see. I'll wax it up once it's all dry. But there you go. Here's from the from the front and from the side. Really, that's about it. It was a fun little whittle to do. If you're using butternut like this, take your time. It can be a little finicky to whittle, but it's a beautiful wood when all is said and done. So give it a shot. If it's your first time doing it, 2 recommendations: maybe use basswood, make it a little bit easier, and have the tail, rather than sloping up like that, slope it down. The reason being is this area in here, this hollow, is a difficult spot because you're going, you know, against the grain in one direction or the other, and you're going to kind of meet at the bottom there. It's going to be difficult to smooth that out over there. So take your time if you're doing it that way. If you want to make it a little bit easier, slope the tail slightly downward. I like it like this because when it sits flat, as you'll see, it kind of looks like it's looking up at you, I guess is what you could say. But anyway, that's really it for me. I hope you enjoyed that whittle. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I'll talk to you all again soon. Take care.